Hello, we are Romeo, Vilde, Shaheen, Eric, and Ida from Group 4, and our theme is local industry. We will start by showing you our primary research and our process before revealing our final concepts for a resilient and sustainable future in 2040.
We started by gaining an understanding of what local industry concerns, and specifically what secondary production consists of. We learned that our theme was about processing of raw materials versus primary production, which is the harvesting of resources.
We researched all sorts of material processing, energy management, and manufacturing industries. We looked into land and coastal production, such as slaughterhouses, dairy farms, textile manufacturers, processing metals and mining, as well as energy and the recycling of materials.
We started out by mapping the Trøndelag area in order to gain understanding of the area's challenges.
We looked into existing reports and started doing a zip analysis to determine which aspects we needed to research further.
We researched Trøndelag looking for areas of interest and browsed through municipalities sorted by statistics like decline in population or pollution per capita, figuring out which areas we could improve upon and where it would be exciting to introduce systemic changes.
This is when we discovered Frøya. It was not the worst set municipality by far, but it was a quaint and interesting society with unique quirks we could really look into.
While investigating Frøya further, we found that this was a deeply interesting place due to its patriotic society and being home to some of Norway's biggest salmon farming industries. Frøya is a small island community off the coast of Trøndelag with a population of 5,000 citizens. It consists of a main island with several thousand other small islands surrounding it. The main island of Frøya is connected to the neighboring island of Hitra by the Frøya Tunnel, which goes under Frøyafjorden and continues onto the mainland of Trøndelag. We discovered that Frøya is a place where we could change the local industry to a more sustainable framework.
We mapped out all the local industries operating out of Frøya today and discovered some interesting businesses that we could reach out to conduct some interviews.
We got responses from a wide variety of experts and organizations. We took the opportunity to speak to Espen Rafter, a marine biologist, Reidar Almås, a sociologist and agricultural expert at Ruralis, Cecilia Brurok, a journalist at the local Hitra Frøya newspaper, and Simen Høyem from SalMar. We also spoke to Martin Olsen from Blått Kompetansesenter, who works cross-disciplinary and are focused on future innovation of ocean industries. We also spoke with Roger André Sørås from Ruralis, who's working on innovation within Industry 4.0. Much of what we learned in our interviews is reflected upon in our leverage map.
For instance, an hour-long conversation with Reidar revealed Frøya's susceptible fish-based monoculture. And, quoting him, "The Gulf Stream brings not only North Atlantic fish, but also North Atlantic trash. Not only are the shores polluted, but the landscape itself is also compromised by wind parks to the habitants' dismay." We learned that large conglomerates run Hitra and Frøya's fish farming industries, limiting career and education opportunities to one specific sector. While Hitra has outsourced as much of their processing as possible, patriotic capitalists from Frøya have kept employment in their local factory, despite this maybe not being the most profitable choice. Being a linear and export-reliant economy has social and environmental disadvantages for Frøya.
And these leverages then bring us towards to our desirable future, which includes a more diversified industry with focus on more than fish farming, less imports and becoming more self-sufficient, less land-based transport, sustainable transport, more diverse job opportunities for the citizens, possibilities for self-realization, community, patriotism, regenerating the ocean and using waste as a resource, framework for sustainable awareness, facilitation for new ventures and startups, locally run and owned business, using other resources than fish farming, utilizing algae as a sustainable resource. We also ask, where can we implement systemic changes and set a new course for Freya's local industry?
Now that we knew our leverage points, we moved into the development phase of the project. We started creating some scenarios. Some were more explorative, such as Donald Trump being re-elected and initiating World War III, or the air being so polluted that it forces Freya's inhabitants to live underwater. Others were not as far out, such as Gustav Witzøe's son selling Freya's biggest seafood conglomerate to international hedge funds in order to pursue his modeling career.
In addition to these scenarios, we created some personas with various backgrounds to help our concept brainstorming. For example, Theo, a 17-year-old who hates fish and thinks his hometown Freya is a social wasteland.
Throughout the process, we reached points where we would find it relevant to make fragments of concepts based on observations and ideas we got on the way. We did this both at earlier and later points in the process. Some concepts were realistic, others were far out. Gradually, this piled up to be a large bank of ideas that we would later map out, looking for similarities, connections, and synergies.
Parallel to creating concepts, we continued research to answer our own questions in order to strengthen our knowledge on areas of interest and discover new challenges and opportunities.
Having both a bank of concepts and knowledge, our next step was to tie groups of ideas together into concept packages, bundles that would contain ideas and concepts relevant to each other, forming a fulfilling system. Considering societal relevancy and opportunities for a holistic future vision, while still maintaining a sense of realism, we selected a few of these packages to be the foundation of our project.
We will now present our final concept. From this point on, we will assume the role of Bærekrafttilsynet in the year 2040.
On the 20th anniversary of the sustainable shift in Trøndelag, Bærekrafttilsynet put the bioregion of Freya Hitra under the microscope to see how the systemic changes made in the last 20 years have affected the local industry. Today, we'll be zooming in on the oceanic value industry currently established in Freya.
The bioindustries of Freya are divided in three main areas: the Green Bank Framework, Hitra Freya algae processing, and circular plastic system.
The farming, harvesting, and processing of both macro and microalgae, as well as the collecting and processing of oceanic plastic waste, has given this region a new purpose. A new offshore seaport, constructed 5 kilometers off the coast, makes the export of manufactured materials and products efficient. The use of electric ferries and automated drones transporting cargo and resources between the offshore structures and mainland, in addition to freight ships running on biofuel produced locally, makes this a fully circular system.
The offshore processing plant supplies the local industry with bioplastics, biofuel, and recycled plastic, which is an important part of the sustainable manufacturing circularity and can be traded and utilized by incoming ships.
On the mainland, a system of autonomous robots invented during the Fourth Industrial Revolution collect household waste, which in turn is recycled and processed into new materials at the offshore processing plants. Plastic waste brought as debris by the Gulf Stream is collected by underwater robots and brought to the offshore facilities by coastal drones to be processed and recycled. The recycled materials offer the locals an opportunity to establish small businesses or meet their own needs by producing goods locally.
T5's hubs facilitate for a better communication between the mainland and shore districts, or oceanic hubs, creating opportunities for businesses and industries in areas that would otherwise prove isolated or challenging.
The Green Bank, which is based on informing the citizens about the ecological footprint of their purchases and the production and transportation of merchandise. This made way for a new era of thriving local production, brought about by local entrepreneurs, in which the amount of imports decreases due to the goods being manufactured locally. The local industry is close to self-sustained and relies more on seaport trades, relieving the previously underdeveloped yet overloaded trailer transport infrastructure. The trailers who still run are better optimized, running on Frøya's biofuel or electricity and carry imported goods on the way back.
Solar panels and offshore windmills produce energy for the seaport, along with biofuel from algae, and processing platforms serve as a charging port for the automated drones, while preserving the natural landscape of the island. Leftover energy is used to supply the municipality with sustainable energy.
We have highlighted the general loops illustrating the circularity of the system. Frøya's local society loop is intertwined with T3's algae production, forming a second loop of mutual benefit and supply. The Frøya-Hitra system then forms a transnational scale loop through the seaport. Although the Gulf Stream bringing a constant input of plastic trash tells a story of negative implications, it also indicates that we are part of a world-scale loop as well. Today, a range of local manufacturing options makes it possible to generate higher profits by exporting finished goods rather than transporting raw materials across the globe for processing, as was standard 20 years ago. Given that most local demands are met through local production, maximizing profits from exports is no longer financially paramount. Instead, exporting goods is considered to be a social responsibility for sharing environmentally sustainable options with the rest of the world. The gradual birth of a diversely self-sustained system has not only increased the resilience and effectivity of the infrastructure compared to the previous decade, but also significantly reduced the amount of imports and exports needed for the bioregion to be economically sustainable.
Our team at Bærekrafttilsynet mapped out the value chain of Frøya's bioindustries in order to identify the main activities associated with the offshore seaport.
In this example, the biological ecosystem also creates a self-sustaining circular system, not only continentally and globally, but also on the micro scale. This happens while also providing an output that benefits external loops, ships passing through, and Frøya's society.
Here you see how Frøya's processing is experienced by the locals. It is a great pride to the citizens to have such a thriving industry while still maintaining the experience of nature they all fell in love with growing up.
All of these interventions together have diversified the local industries, creating a more resilient local economy, along with creating more opportunities for the local entrepreneurs and students. Introducing more complex processing increases the profit margins without necessarily increasing the amount of material harvested. A chair made of bioplastics is worth tenfold more than raw algae alone. Through all these new ventures, the local needs are met primarily through local production instead of imports.
With the emergence of many new industries and small business opportunities in the years following 2020, the key question asked was, how can we entrust these opportunities to those who would take care of the environment instead of plundering the planet's resources for profits? As a response to this monumental question, a new type of economic framework was established in collaboration with the regional government, entitled the Green Bank. This consisted of a financial system which prioritizes positive environmental impact as opposed to economic gains. Simply put, this was a paradigm shift meant to incentivize environmentally conscious producers and entrepreneurs, as well as the consumers. This new type of bank does not simply track the spending of its customers, but also tracks the environmental footprint of every item bought. This includes carbon, nitrogen, ozone, land use, transportation, and the resulting chemical footprint. This is calculated into a green credit score, which offers insight into an individual's impact on the natural world. A high green credit score is rewarded with low interest rates, better loan options, and tax subsidies. The Green Bank is available to both individuals and businesses. It is important to note that this initiative does not penalize the user for purchases that negatively impact the environment, but rather entrusts those who make positive choices with additional opportunities.
This paradigm shift is in itself circular in its impact. Businesses who have proven themselves to be responsible in the way they cultivate, process, and transport goods are supported by the Green Bank in their future ventures, such as scaling up production. The low interest rates and tax subsidies mean that businesses with positive green credit scores are able to sell their product at a lower price. The consumer, in turn, can afford to make an environmentally friendly choice when purchasing goods, which improves their own green credit score. Consumers prioritizing environmentally friendly purchases also means that the profit margins for these eco-conscious businesses are increased. This economic incentive is key because information alone does not change consumer behavior, as proven in the past.
Bærekrafttilsynet got the chance to follow Jonas, a local frøyværing, to see how the bioregion facilitates new ventures and how this has affected him personally.
Jonas is 26 years old and lives on the island of Frøya. He has always grappled with following in his father's footsteps and is adverse to working in the fish farming industry. He was born and raised on Frøya, which used to be a fish farming epicenter. Jonas always thought that the only career opportunities were in the seafood industry. However, with the industries that have emerged over the last 2 decades, the other doors have been opened to him. Jonas has always dreamt of making his own business ideas come alive. He wants to produce functional furniture made from recycled and biodegradable plastic and thinks the time is right to make a move.
He proceeds to check his green credit score and believes his chances of getting a startup loan are good. He is committed to being a responsible consumer and has in the last decade focused on having the highest green credit score possible. The Green Bank is positive to Jonas' business idea, and after confirming that he formidably fulfills the requirements needed, proceeds to grant Jonas a startup loan. The Green Bank puts Jonas in touch with the offshore processing facility to begin a collaboration. Jonas can now receive bioplastic materials and recycled plastics to produce his furniture.
Jonas aims to produce his furniture using recycled plastics for the main components of the furniture and bioplastic for the packaging used for the transporting of his products. He has always wanted to give something back to the community that he feels so proud to live in. His agreement with the Green Bank enables him to produce with very low cost, and therefore he can sell his products locally at an affordable price. Hannah is very pleased that inhabitants of the bioregions, such as herself, can buy affordable green products like Jonas furniture. She aspires to start her own business in the future and wants to collect as much green credits as possible. The demand for Jonas furniture within the bioregion has been high. Jonas has done a market study and figures that his chances for expanding his business are very good. After meeting the local demands, he started exporting his products to other municipalities and other regions, and eventually to the whole country.
And that concludes Bærekrafttilsynets review of the local industries in the Frøya-Hitra bioregion, and is proof of their resilience and sustainability.
Thank you for recycling.